Kristen, the cross stitching runner, and welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning subscribers. And if by chance you stumbled across this channel is all about cross stitch with a bit of life stuff thrown in. And today is the 31st of December and it is New Year's Eve. We are finally coming to the end of 2022, which means that this episode is going to be all about my cross stitching plans for 2023. And this is me thinking out loud a bit as well in terms of some of the plans that I want to try and achieve, and also figuring out by talking out loud with you and you guys being my sounding board as to whether or not I can actually achieve these kinds of plans as well. So hopefully it can happen, because if the end of this year has been anything to go by, I'm anticipating that next year will have even more curveballs. It will mean that I'm potentially still traveling a little bit between Canberra and Wollongong and where I am now, which is Malul Bay. So I'm currently on holidays, and it is really nice just to kick back, relax, recharge the batteries a bit in preparation for a new calendar year, new working year, and trying to embrace the challenges that come along and try to see the positive in any of those challenges that do come up, and recognizing that there are some negatives that come with the challenges, but not letting them get me down too much. So hopefully that can happen and we'll get there. So in terms of stitching, the big thing that I want to do is still do the AFL footy stitching challenge that I set up for myself during this year. And the AFL is the Australian Football League, and it is a sport that's been around in Australia for well over 100 years. Because many of the teams are quite old and that kind of thing. But the point of the challenge that I did for myself is that I wanted to still keep my hands moving and being busy and feel productive while sitting down watching the football. And what I did this year was I assigned about 12, almost 18 projects, cross stitching projects, to the 18 teams that make up the league. And that was, I think, challenging, and I found it fun as well. And there were times where I was like, oh, really? I don't want to work on this project again. Can't another team win, please? So I can work on that project instead. And that's where I did find it interesting to be barracking for teams that I normally wouldn't barrack for, or because I wanted to work on the project that I had assigned to that team. So the other, I guess the other thing for 2023 is that in the lead up to this episode, and in the lead up to, I guess, bringing in and welcoming in next year, is I actually did like a bit of a brain dump of typing up how the challenge would look for anyone who wanted to give the challenge a go, and what sort of options would be available and how it would work. Because this year in 2022, I was still learning a bit, still feeling it out a bit in terms of how it would look, what worked for me, and all that jazz. So the challenge for next year that I know I'll be sticking to, because it worked for me towards the end of the challenge, is I will still assign at least one project per team, and there's about 18 teams. However, there won't be 18 projects, because there's a couple of projects I have in mind that actually fit really well with about 4 to 5 teams. So to put into perspective, I follow a team called the Sydney Swans, and their mascot is a swan. They also have their team colours of red and white. And the project that I have connected to that team is a Christmas themed project called 12 Days of Christmas. And I'll insert a picture if I can of what it looks like now and what the finished product should look like. And with the 12 Days of Christmas, it is like, as you think, like with the Christmas Carol of 12 Days of Christmas. And so that project, it has birds in it. So it has swans. It also has, I think, is it 12 ducks a laying? There are birds laying in that carol anyway. So we've got a few, it's got French hens in it by memory, we've got swans. So there's a few different birds, and some of the teams in the AFL, they have birds as part of their mascots and team names as well. So that's where I've got the Swans and another team called the West Coast Eagles connected to that project. And there's also a third team that fits within 12 Days of Christmas called the St Kilda Saints. And going along the tangent of thinking about Christmas, religion, and saints that are part of the Christian religion, that's where we have the saints connected to 12 Days of Christmas. I do have, by memory, an angel kind of picture project that I don't really feel like starting. So that's why I'm still going to be focusing on 12 Days of Christmas. So that's actually going to get a lot more progress done on it, I hope, and it'll mean I'll hopefully finish it if the Swans play like they did. So it's that sort of logic of how I will be assigning my projects to the teams, and the brain dump that I've done for how the challenge will work. I'll put the details in the description box below, and the aim for that document is for it to be up on the Hot Cross Stitching website, and if I can get it to work, possibly upload it to my blog, but it'll most likely be up on the Hot Cross Stitching website, and so the details for that document will be in the description box below, and it'll help to make sense of the ramblings that I'm doing right now, and it'll also make sense when you start to see how the prompts work for the different teams as well, if you're interested. Okay, so with the AFL challenge, that's going to take up about half of the year, but it'll only be from mid-March to about early to mid-September. So on either side of that particular season, this is where I'm thinking out loud with all of you and using you as my sounding board for how this could work, because I guess within the last 24 hours that I've really been able to work it out in my mind and be comfortable with how that could work. And I've been watching a few different Flosstube plans and that kind of thing to try and get an idea of whether whether some of those types of plans could work, or if there was any keywords that they use that could work. And the Stitching Mummy, she comes to mind for some of those plans, and there were just some keywords that she used that really helped me a lot with figuring out in my mind as to what could work, and also recognizing that I didn't want to be fully committed to any other challenges or anything like that because of I guess knowing how nutty life is going to be next year, especially at the start of the calendar year as well. And I didn't want to put any unnecessary stress upon myself that life otherwise was going to put on. So with that in mind, without further ado, the challenge that I'm sort of, well, not challenge, but the motivation, I guess, behind my stitching and to help keep things interesting for my future Flosstube episodes is based on the days of the week, and it's based upon the some of the projects that I want to get done as well. So, for example, Mondays I've assigned the the nickname of Michael Mondays, in the sense that my boyfriend, his name's Michael, and I've got a couple of projects that I'm wanting to get done or see more progress on. And the first project is called A Dictionary of Dogs, and I think either side I'll be having a picture up to show what progress I've done so far and what it should hopefully look like when it's done. And it's a fun, cute project, and I really should have had it finished a lot sooner than what I have made progress on. And it's one of those sort of things where it's got those cute little motifs in it, and in theory I could get one done per week if it was going to be a focus piece, and have it done in no time. So if I'm wanting to have a bit of a break from a Dictionary of Dogs, the other project is called A Trio of Dogs, or at least that's what my interpretation of the project is. So it is a kit that I had bought online. I think it was via it was via a magazine that I receive intermittently throughout the year, and the Fox Collection. That's the name of the magazine, and the website as well that I purchased the project through. And with A Trio of Dogs is a kit that came, at least was produced in, I think, Moldova. And so that's where, based on, I guess, what I could see of the words, make of the words that were printed on the cover page, I'm assuming it's Trio of Dogs or Three Dogs, or I think I've even used the nickname of Three Labs because they look like Labrador puppies and they're very cute. So I'm looking to get a lot more progress done on that particular kit because it's it's easy enough, and I think it's a kind of project, and I've potentially mentioned this in my last episode as well, that the background especially would be fantastic if I'm at a stitching retreat or something similar, and I don't need to worry about counting stitches too much. So that's where I'm looking forward to getting some more progress on it. So that's Mondays. Tuesdays I have nicknamed Tashi Tuesdays. So my sister is called Natasha. We've called her Tash for majority of her life, and with Tash, I've got a project that I've had the best of intentions of finishing within a year, noting that it is a heaven and earth design. And if I was a monogamous stitcher, that could totally have been achieved. And especially if I was doing it as 10th stitch as well, I would have been able to have gotten that done in about 12 months. So the project is, I think it's Waterlight, Firelight, Waterlight Fairy. Anyway, you'll see the details and everything of it up on the screen, and I'll have the details of it in the description box below. And I know I'm not going to get that done by this time next year. That is, yeah, realistically knowing that it's just not going to happen. So if I can at least get a couple of pages done by this time next year, that'll be great because you'll be able to see such significant difference for that project, and it will look beautiful when it's done. So for Wednesdays, I have assigned that as Water Tiger 2 Wednesdays. And this particular project, I really do need to get some significant progress made on it. And this particular project is for my best mate who is turning 40 in October, and I am wanting to get it finished and framed before the 18th of October. So ideally, if I can get it finished and framed by the end of September, I guess early October, that would be awesome, because it would mean that it's done, it's dusted, and one of my oldest projects will be finished. Because I started it at least 15 years ago, potentially longer. I think it's been longer than 15 years. So it'll be good to get it done. Then with Thursdays is a bit of a wild card in the sense that I had initially thought, okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays will be a Tashi day. And who knows, I could, if I'm feeling it, could work on Waterlight Fairy on Thursdays as well. But I think what I've noted down, what have I done for Thursdays? Yeah, Thursdays is still a bit flexible. I had thought that I could do a Stitch and Time Thursdays, and Wednesday. Thursdays might end up being my wild card day, because initially I thought, okay, maybe Wednesday wild card. Who knows? I guess it depends a little bit on what's happening in life. That said, with Thursday, it could be Trio of Dog Day. If I'm doing a dictionary of dogs on Mondays, Thursday could be Trio of Dogs. So watch the space, and as time goes on, who knows what you might end up seeing in my future Flosstube episodes. Then that brings us to Fridays. So with Fridays, it is a combination of Fight Like a Girl, which is also a full coverage project. And that's where I thought that it could be Full Coverage Fanatics Friday, which helps with Fight Like a Girl, because Fight Like a Girl is very much a full coverage project. And this is where, if I'm needing a break from Fight Like a Girl, I could try and focus on the horse picture, and wanting, I've got the word fire on the brain, and I don't know why. So I'm wanting to focus on a full coverage piece. I do have um, a it's a white horse picture. I'm looking at my notes on the side just to see if I've written it down, and I can't see it in my list, but I know that I have talked about it in my previous episode. Fridays could also be, as part of the full coverage Fridays, it could also be my Floral Friday, because I've got Dewdrop Daisy, Black and White Rolled Up Daisy, and I've also got the Pink Bottle Brush Mini, all of which are full coverage. And, well, I guess it depends on your definition of full coverage. My definition does vary a little bit to the Full Coverage Fanatics definition. So that's where, with the Pink Bottle Brush Mini, for some people, they don't define it as full coverage because of background and not all of the background being stitched. However, in my headspace, I believe it to be full coverage, and each their own. I think if it wasn't the mini edition of Pink Bottle Brush, then it would definitely fit within the context of full coverage. Anyway, what my point is, without rambling, is with Pink Bottle Brush Mini, even if I wasn't like this close to getting it done, um, I'm like over halfway done on that project, and it should be done. I could achieve the finish by this time next year if I focus on it for a few hours at least on a Friday. So we'll have to wait and see how things go, and I do hope to be able to get that finished by this time next year, which leads us to the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. So those 2 days, I am not assigning any specific projects to those days because I know that I'm going to be doing a fair bit of travel during the year, and my travel tends to end up happening on the weekends, if not Friday evenings or um, other days during the week after work. So we'll have to wait and see. So that's where I'm reserving Saturdays and Sundays as my special days. They could be, if I am doing stitching, they could be my smalls. There could be anything special. There could be the special recordings I'm really needing to get back into for hot cross stitching. So to help put into context for hot cross stitching, it is my side hustle, and it started off with the premise of it being intended for teaching people how to cross stitch. And the way life has been over the last 3 years, when I did a very soft launch, quiet launch of hot cross stitching, the world became quite skewed because of health, as we all know, with the pandemic. And then in the last 3 months, my boyfriend and I moved up to Wollongong. My boyfriend got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and we've been doing a lot of travel between Wollongong and Canberra because of family events, good family events, to celebrate birthdays, to celebrate Christmas, to come down here to Wallula Bay and relax, and then head back up to Wollongong. And February is going to be no different, where there's going to be 3 family birthdays to celebrate, one of which will be mine, and it'll be a milestone birthday as well. So that's where I've been umming and ahhing quite a lot about what sort of plans to do for cross stitch and that kind of thing. And yeah, I love the idea of doing like a certain number of projects to coincide with the age that I'm turning, or something along those lines. But it might end up being a new start on the day. That said, I haven't made any plans, specific plans, just yet for my birthday. They keep changing. At the moment, I'm wanting to go up to the Blue Mountains. And if anyone else wants to come along, hey, great, see you there. I'm not wanting a big party. I think the last 3 years, I've found that I enjoy being around people, but my energy levels for being around people has changed quite a lot. So to do this big intense kind of birthday celebration, it's like not quite my cup of tea anymore. We'll wait and see. Where I end up going, my birthday will probably change several times between now and the date. So we'll wait and see. We'll see how things go. But at least with the weekends when I'm not traveling or anything like that, I can do like those little mini kind of special recordings that I want to do to have uploaded to Hot Cross Stitching. And there'll be things. Yeah, I've got some plans, got some notes. I just need to sit down and execute it and make it happen. So that's pretty much it for all of my plans of what I'm wanting to do. Thank you very much for sticking around with me, having a bit of a chat, being my sounding board. Thank you very much for that. And I will hopefully see you all in, I guess, a couple of weeks' time. And I really hope you have some wonderful wonderful New Year celebrations, whichever way you choose to celebrate it. I hope that you have a lot of fun, that you're able to get some stitching done if that's your thing, and seeing the fireworks. I love seeing the fireworks. They're really pretty. It's just the lights, the colours, and if it's done with some really good soundtrack or something like that, if you're watching it on TV, that can be really cool. So until next time, happy stitching, and I'll see you all later.